Hello everyone. In this video, we will be talking more about exception filter. So just like we discussed that we can create boilerplate code for middleware, guards. I mean almost everything that we study for the fundamental concept. Similar to that, we can create a boilerplate code for filters as well. So you have to type like for example nest g filter and the name which you want it to be created with, just like all other commands that we have used. So if I press enter here, it will create related files. So until then I will try and explain you what are we going to do. So currently in our last video we were in our controller file, and here we had sent this unauthorized exception, right? So the task that we are going to do right now is going to be like enhancement of what is being sent from here, right? So it is a similar concept to the interceptor, where you are able to modify or add or extend or enhance some functionality without changing the core code, right? In the interceptor we learned about this aspect oriented programming. So you can relate this concept with that concept, right? We are not going to be making any changes here, but we are going to be creating our own filter which will modify the exception response that is going to be sent back to the client. Okay, so as you can see that these two files are created. This is the main file and this is the test file. So if I go here, you would be able to see this code, boilerplate code, where we have argument host. This is somewhat similar to what we have execution context in guards and other components that we studied. And this is the most important thing that must be implemented by the class that you intend to make as a filter, right? And then this is the method, and this decorator must be there as well. So this is just like the boilerplate code that which needs to be at the very starter of how you plan to make your filter. So let's just change the end of the file to lf, hit save, and wait for the application to reload. So it is now reloaded. So let's try and check this out. So by default we are getting message unauthorized and status code 401, which is the default behavior of this particular exception of unauthorized exception. Let's try and make some changes in this. Let's make a little bit change in this code first. So in this sketch, this is empty here, right? So let's try and add HTTP exception here like this, and this make this type change as HTTP exception. So now we are done with that. Let's try and start our work with this. So if I console log it out, let me show that to you, not this this variable like this, and the host variable. I don't think host needs to be logged out. You would be able to see that we have this system that we studied previously about execution context. We have switch to HTTP, switch to RPC, switch to WebSocket, get type, and stuff like that, right? So let's forget this, hit save, or maybe we can do this, right? Host dot get type. Let's see what is the type of the host. Let it change. Let's remove this for now. I will save it later. Okay, so hit send, and here you should be able to. Okay. So yeah, we have created a filter here, but like all other components, this filter has to be implemented wherever we want it to be implemented, just like every other component that we implemented, right? So in order to implement that, what we can do is we have to go back to the controller file here and use something like use filter, oh sorry, as a decorator, use filter. Yeah, give me that, and the filter needs to be user filter like this, and hit save, Now this particular filter that we have created is implemented here. Just like I told you in the guards and other components where when we studied, it had three scopes, right? Similar to that, filter also has three scope. Right now we have implemented it on the scope of a route handler. You can implement it on the scope of the controller here as well as you can implement it globally. For globally, you would have to go to the main file. So you can go here, and here just like this you can use app dot use global filters and then implement it like this. So import it properly here. I'm commenting it because I don't want to implement it globally. Just let the code be here. So now let's try and hit the request and see if we get some log out or not. So let's wait for the log. Yeah, see, we got the console log. So for the exception, we received that we had unauthorized exception, right? And we got the entire response for this. Other than that, the second log is for host, and our type of the protocol that we are using is HTTP. It is not WebSocket and it is not RPC, right? So this is done and dusted. Now let's move ahead and try to get the context out of it. Response, and no, I don't want to get the, I just want to, let's, yeah, status, okay, and const request, right? Now I have got the access to the response, right? So response dot status dot json, and now we can make our changes here, right? Other than that, if you want, you can send, yeah, something like this as well. Hit save. Remember, so this is now sent. So this isn't working because the response was never sent, right? We were just stuck in here. That is why that kept on going. So hit send now. We are now sending the response here. So you can see the response is now modified. We are now able to send timestamp as well as the status code as well as path. So status code, we can change any value, but what we did right here is we had access to our exception, right? So from this context, we send the exact same exception that we were sending from our controller. We did not override that, but if you want, you can override it, right? You can send, for example, 500 here. You can make any sort of changes to the exception response that is coming from the main route handler, right? Similar to the interceptor concept. So if I send here like this, you see this value is 500, but the main status header is 401, because this is just the change in the object that we are doing, right? We can make our changes here as well. Hopefully it will send 500 now. So let's hit send. The laptop is a bit slow. Yes, we started now. So yep, we got this 500 change as well. So this works pretty much fine, right? So this is just how you can enhance or extend the functionality of your exception filter. So let's hit save here. And this was all about it. In next video we will try and cover up the concept of how to create your own custom exception handler, exception filter. So thank you for watching.